Chapter 408, The Black Glazed Spinel. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. A group of women who were trapped in the dungeon curled up in a corner. Among them, a young girl who was neatly dressed stood up cautiously and walked towards Zhang Yuochen. She was still slightly scared and said in a low voice, "You are not Master Long's disciple, right?" Zhang Yuochen glanced at her. She was about 15 or 16 years old. She had fair white skin and a beautiful appearance. Among these women, she was definitely the most gorgeous one. Moreover, from her clothes, which were made of superior class materials, one could tell that she should be a daughter of a nobility. The more important thing was that there was a slight of supernatural power fluctuating around her, which meant that she was not an ordinary person. Zhang Yuochen said, "No, I'm not." The young woman immediately felt relieved and said, "I'm the daughter of the city governor of Snowleaf City, Fine Gold Federation, Zhuyi. I'm captured by Master Day, who is the eldest disciple of Master Long's. He took me here to the demonic Cape Ridge. Please spare us your strength and help us get out of here." Zhuyi could tell that Zhang Yuochen was very powerful. Although he was trapped in the dungeon, he could still remain calm. Such a person was definitely not ordinary. Zhuyi did not believe that Zhang Yuochen had the power to defeat Master Long's, though. It was impossible for her to escape with her power. There was always a glimmer of hope for her to get out of here with the master by her side. She would rather slam her head on the wall and die than stay in the dungeon and serve the old and ugly Master Long's. She would at least be less abused by doing that. Zhang Yuochen stared at the young girl named Zhuyi and thought for a moment. He said, "Since you are the daughter of the city governor, you should be more knowledgeable about things around here. As long as you answer some of my questions, I will promise to get you out of here." After that, Zhang Yuochen asked Zhuyi carefully for some information about the Five Elements primitive world. After an hour discussion, Zhang Yuochen had a general idea of Five Elements primitive world. The Five Elements primitive world was a land suspended in the void space. The sky was round and the earth was square and flat. There were no countries but only city-states and alliances. There were 10 alliances in total, and the Fine Gold Federation was one of them. The Fine Gold Federation was composed of 12 cities. They formed alliances and conducted business with each other. At the same time, they had set up an army to resist attacks from the savage beasts. Except for the 3 major federations, there were 3 holy temples and 2 evil palaces in the Five Elements primitive world. They were respectively the Temple of Holy Fire, the Temple of Holy Water Hall, the Temple of Holy Earth, the Evil Golden Palace, and the Evil Wooden Palace. One of the 5 spirit treasures mentioned in the Vessel Spirit of Heaven board was called the Source of Spiritual Fire, which was a scared object of the Temple of Holy Fire. Purple Cloud Pattern Dealwood was the treasure of the Evil Wood Palace. As for the other 3 spirit treasures, Zhuyi had only heard of the name and did not know where they were kept. The Heaven Board is really good at giving out tough tasks. The Source of Spiritual Fire and the Purple Cloud Pattern Dealwood are placed in the Holy Temple and the Evil Palace. It would be extremely difficult to get. It is probably the same for the other 3 spirit treasures. Zhang Yuochen was very confident in his own strength, but he was not arrogant. He knew that it was still impossible for him to challenge the strongest forces in the inferior primitive world alone. It was said that the master of the Hall of the Temple of Holy Fire was known as the strongest master of the Five Elements primitive world. According to Zhuyi's description, Zhang Yuochen guessed roughly that the strength of the Holy Fire Lord was comparable to that of the superior in the 4th change of the Fish Dragon realm, and he may even be stronger. Moreover, the 3 holy temples did have a few half-saints before. Although the half-saints were dead, they certainly left behind some powerful tactics. Their warriors in the Heaven realm who dared to go there would only end up dead. According to the Vessel Spirit of Heaven board, even the half-saints would fight for the 5 spirit treasures if they came across them, because those treasures could save them 10 years of efforts of cultivation. If I get one of them, maybe I can reach the dawn state of the Heaven realm, or even the medium state of the Heaven realm in a short time. Even if it is dangerous, I must try. Zhang Yuochen's eyes gradually became firm and he made up his mind. Even if it was dangerous, he must give it a try. Zhuyi sat aside and saw that Zhang Yuochen had not talked for a long time. She said, "Young hero Zhang, if we can escape, you can visit Snowleaf City. With my father's knowledge, he certainly knows the whereabouts of the other 3 spirit treasures. Zhang Yuochen nodded his head and said, if there is a chance, I will definitely go there. Zhang Yuochen stood up and stared at the metal wall of the dungeon. He grinned and said, I have already thought of the way to break the 5 elements array. Since I can't break the gold wall with fire, then how about break gold with gold? Using gold to break the gold was to compete with brute strength. It was to break the power with power. The stronger one would win. Zhang Yuochen mobilized the genuine Qi and infused it into the dragon pearl in his heart. Immediately, large amount of dragon Qi gushed out of the dragon pearl, passing through his meridians and pouring into his blood and flesh. Zhang Yuochen's body was immediately enveloped by a layer of golden dragon scales. His arms turned into sharp dragon claws. Bam! He swung his dragon claws and smashed them toward the metal wall. Under the attack of the golden dragon claws, the large piece of the metal wall was easily torn off like tofu. Seeing this scene, Zhuye was startled and she could not help but step back 2 steps. This young man who was in front of her was horribly powerful that the moment he waved his hand the golden stone broke. How powerful must his strength be? In the demonic aperage, there was a valley filled with miasma. The yellow-robed man and the blue-robed man knelt down in front of Master Longs, trembling in fear. They feared that Master Longs would kill them with rage. The man in the yellow robe, with one hand on his severely aching chest, was as pale as snow. He said, I was incompetent and failed to stop that young man. Master, please punish me. Master Longs crossed his legs on a stone chair with a gloomy eye. He said, it's not your fault. He is probably the genius in the Temple of Holy Fire. You two are still far from him. Cough, cough. While he was talking, Master Longs coughed twice, and blood was spat out of his mouth. The man in the yellow robe and the man in the green robe glanced at each other, and both of them were shocked. The young man was so powerful that he even managed to hurt Master. The yellow-robed man said, Master, what shall we do now? He is so powerful that you may not be able to kill him with the 5 elements array. Master Longs sneered and said, the 5 elements array is extremely mysterious. Now it's just a stone generating gold. A moment later, it will be metal generating water. By then, the dungeon will be filled with extremely cold water. No matter how high is his cultivation, he will be froze to death in the water. Boom! Before Master Longs finished his words, a muffled sound came from the underground. The deep miasma valleys vibrated violently. Then the 5 elements array was ripped apart by a stroke of golden dragon Qi. Master Longs's face changed. He shouted, that's not good. The young man's strength is so strong that he is going to escape from the 5 elements array. Master Longs knew that he was not on Zhang Yuochen's level, so he instantly mobilized the supernatural power to support himself and rushed toward the depths of the valley. Bam! A golden light column rushed to the sky from the deep well and went straight to a height of 100 meters. When the light dissipated, it showed the shape of a man. It was Zhang Yuochen. Zhang Yuochen applied his sky eye and instantly saw Master Longs who was fleeing. He shouted at him, where are you escaping to? Swoosh! By applying his bodily movement, Zhang Yuochen immediately rushed above Master Longs's head and struck with his golden dragon claws. 5 of his sharp claws were like 5 sharp swords. Master Longs only felt that all the surrounding scenes had disappeared. His body was surrounded by walls of wind, and he was unable to move. A huge golden claw like a lofty mountain above his head slapped down and made him tremble. No! Dragon claws dropped down without stopping and smashed Master Longs's head into pieces. Blood-red cracks extended down from his neck passing down through his chest, back, thighs, and feet. With a banging sound, his entire body turned into pieces of flesh and blood. Zhang Yuochen landed on the ground and looked at the bloody golden dragon claws. He said to himself, another 100 military merits are mine. Maybe I can accumulate 10,000 military merits in the 5 elements primitive world and enter the heaven board. Being in the 5 elements primitive world for less than half a day, Zhang Yuochen had gotten 142 military merits. The reason why Zhang Yuochen accumulated the military merits was not only to enter the heaven board, but also to reach the ultimate realm of the heaven realm. Master Long's corpse turned into pieces. Only the crystal wand with a skull on top was still in good condition. Zhang Yuochen picked up the crystal wand and examined the wand. His spiritual power. In that skull, he felt an eccentric cold air. Pow! Zhang Yuochen accumulated his genuine chi and crushed the skull with his palm, turning it into white powder. At the top of the crystal wand, there was a thumb-sized black crystal. He could faintly see streaks of golden light glowing in the black crystal. The eccentric cold air was just released from that small piece of black crystal. What a pure source of power this water nature is! Zhang Yuochen was surprised. He enveloped his fingers with blue genuine chi and carefully took off the black crystal. He refined it with the genuine chi. Swish! The black crystal turned into streaks of black icing air and merged with the blue genuine chi, which rushed into Zhang Yuochen's hand to enter his meridians and the chi sea. Crack! Crack! Zhang Yuochen's body sent out a series of exploding sound. His bones, blood, and meridians were refreshed once again by the icing air. There was great improvement of his body. Amazing! My cultivation increased greatly just after I absorbed a small piece of black crystal, which saved me 1 month of hard work. Moreover, my physical quality seems to be strengthened as well. Streaks of ice lines have appeared on my bones which greatly improved my strength. I wonder that if this is the black glazed spinel, one of 5 spirit treasures mentioned in the vessel spirit of the heaven board. Zhang Yuochen got excited. He can be sure that what he had just absorbed was the black glazed spinel, because in the 5 elements primitive world, only this thing would have had such a powerful yet magical effect. He absorbed only about 50 grams just now. If he could find more, it would definitely not be difficult to reach the dawn state of the heaven realm. After seeing me rushing out of the dungeon, common people would choose to escape from the valley. And yet, Master Long's escaped into the depth of the valley. Is there any secret hidden in it? Thinking about the black glazed spinel he had just refined, Zhang Yuochen suddenly had an idea, and ventured forth to explore the depths of the valley.